Hi guys. So I was gonna make a gloves video and decided it made more sense for me to do an X-base cuff video first, just a quick one. I'm gonna double this up, so I'm also gonna show you how to add string to string. So I cut a piece that's intentionally too short so that I can double up this video and do two things at once. All right. If you've made an X-base cuff before, skip this one, go straight to the gloves. If you haven't, this is gonna be really useful. So I'm gonna use three different colors for the purposes of this video. We've got green, purple, and white. So the white is gonna be our connector bead. The green I will call our bracelet part or base of the X-base cuff. And this purple is going to be for our X's. So if you've never made one, this is going to be a good tutorial video for you. If you have, I would skip this and go, I'm going to make the gloves video probably tomorrow. So first thing you're going to do is take two of your bracelet beads and put them on your string. X-base is like absolutely critical. The stitches, like, use it to make like all kinds of like building up on cuffs, like epic cuffs and 3D cuffs and stuff. It's going to be a requirement to be able to do this. And the gloves that I'm going to make are an X-base cuff with a thumb hole and a couple other twists. But let's start with two of your bracelet color, one connector bead. So this is your pattern. You can do as many of these as you like. I'm gonna do 30 because that's what I wear, but you can do them in multiples of 3 since there's 3 on here. I'm gonna do 30 beads. I'm gonna do 10 of these little patterns. So 2 green, 1 white. Two green, 1 white, 2 green, 1 white, 2 green, 1 white, 2 green, 1 white. Let's see how many we got. That brings us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 3 more. 2 green, 1 white, 2 green, 1 white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1 more. You can make this whatever size you want, as long as it's multiples of 3. Perfect. All right. I lost one. There we go. There you go. See? I got 30. You can have as many multiples of 3 as you want. I happen to have 10 multiples of 3. And go ahead and tie it off. Kind of snug. I wouldn't go crazy tight with this one. And snip. Add on my needle. This is leftover string. So whenever I tie a string onto a needle, I do not tie the string necessarily to the needle. I tie the string around the needle like this. I feel like it makes the beads go on a little easier than if there's a huge knot next to this needle. There are different kinds of needles where you don't need to tie them on at all, but the kind that I have, they need to be tied kind of around. And like I said, I have too little string at this point because I'm going to show you guys how to add string. Otherwise, you could probably use like one wingspan if you already know how to do that. Cool, so I'm going to go, right now I'm between a connector bead and a bracelet bead that is a white and a green. I'm going to go through the connector bead and add 3 beads in the following pattern. Like this. So 1 X color bead, 1 connector bead, 1 X color bead. If you've never made an X base cuff, I recommend doing it kind of practicing with this pattern. When I make a glove video, I'm going to do a spiral pattern, which is a little different, but getting your connector beads kind of obvious is going to help you with this mission. Oh, sorry. And you're going through the connector beads. So you're taking that pattern, going up and going through the connector beads. So now that I've done a couple, you can see. Now that I've done a couple, you can see. And you're going to stitch over 2 and through the connector bead. One color bead, 1 connector bead, 1 color bead, and through the connector bead. Oop. Through the connector bead. It's okay if you get a little tangled up. I like to make these nice and tight. If you want to make it like an upper arm cuff that might stretch a little bit, you might not. It's really pretty flexible. I mean, I certainly wouldn't do it loose, but it doesn't have to be like... There's a couple stitches that you can do when you're like building 3D stuff where it should be super tight. This is not one of them. In fact, when I make gloves, I tend to leave it a little loose because they have to be flexible for your hand. And everyone's hands are different shapes. Making gloves is super fun. I really like it. Cool. You go all the way around your bracelet, adding color, connector, color, over 2, and through the connector, like that, until you get to your last one right here. And it might be time for me to pause and show you how to add string pretty soon. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do color, connector, color, except now we're gonna go through this base connector like we would, and through these 2 beads right here. So you're coming out of your first connector bead that you added on this row. And see how it kind of fans out like that? That's totally fine. We will get it to stand up, don't worry. Now, you're gonna do the same thing, except you're gonna add them to these connector beads right here. Color, connector, color, up here, color, connector, color, here. It's funny, I spend so much time picking out patterns and like colors, but I did this so quickly, I was just like, I just need something with contrast for this explanatory video, this little teachy tutorial. Color, connector, color, color, connector, color. And you can do, fun thing about an X-space stitch, and this is what makes it interesting when I make gloves, is that you can make these X's as long as you want. Just as long as you like. So when I make my next video, I'm gonna focus on the spiral pattern and the thumb hole and less on this X-space mechanism. Let's say we're running out of string. And you're gonna wanna know how to add string for the gloves because, well, if you are a psycho like me and you use a 25-foot piece of string to make a glove, which I do, you're gonna get knotted and feel terrible. And I do it anyway. Let's be honest, I just love having them in one solid piece without any weak spots. But I'm gonna teach you how to add on string to your string in case you need it. Cool. So as you saw, I cut off the string from the needle, which you'll need to do if you tied it like I did. And then I'm just gonna add like some more. You can add as much more as you want. You can add as little as you want and keep practicing adding string to string. It's all good. I'm gonna add this much. Go crazy, don't even measure. It's about 3/4 of a wingspan. And we're gonna do, sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're gonna put them together like this. And then just tie them like a balloon and tie them to each other. Like that. Now pull tight that way and tight that way. I don't recommend double knotting this. You certainly can, lots of people do. I'd rather just tighten the ever-loving daylights out of it because I don't like to have a big knot in there when especially when I'm sculpting. Just cut off the other ends. And I'd rather know that it's secure and super tight than have this big, like, kind of like, you know, it's in the way, it's a knot, it's hard to get the beads through, especially if you're putting like the string through 6 times or whatever, depending on what you're making, and there's a knot in the middle, it's tricky. So I like to do it that way where I just tie it once. People say tie it twice, people say tie it 3, 5, a billion times. I tie it once and I just make sure it's tight. Cool. And back to our pattern. Like this, purple connector, purple. Purple connector, purple. And when we come to the middle here, or at the end here, we're gonna see how it's coming out of this one. You're gonna go through these 3. So connector, color, connector. Cool. And see how it's kind of like a skirt? It's like a little mini skirt, kind of fans out. That's okay. Now you can put as many rows on as you want. I'm gonna just add like a couple, maybe one more. And it's called an X-space cuff. You can see this little X, that is why, and it's a base cuff. It's used to make other kinds of cool candy creations. One thing you can also do that I do as I start making really big ones of these is you pop out your center beads and you tighten your string along the way, and that will tighten your string too. And pop out your center beads, pop out your center beads. If you make a really large one of these, like a glove or whatever, you don't really need to do this step, but it'll help kind of keep your piece tight. You can see the last one's always going to be kind of reluctant. Cool. I'm just going to do, maybe I'll do 2 more rows. Make 2 X's, double X base cuff. So color, connector, color. Fun thing about X base cuffs is you can make them in any style you like. And when I do my glove video, we'll focus on making them spiraled, which is cute. Tighten. And you can see as you add that next row, already it starts to kind of take shape. And there's lots of things you can do with this. Maybe I'll make a 3D cuff video eventually. I don't do a lot of 3D cuffs. I do a lot of like flat ones, like peyote cuffs. I have some 3D cuffs I make, but it's just, oh, they're kind of clunky. They're cute. It's usually if I make something like a unicorn or a flower or something, I want to put it on a necklace more than a cuff. I don't know. Just my taste. Everyone's entitled to their taste. So color, connector, color. Color, connector, color, color, connector, color. And once again, once we get to the end of the row, you're going to go through this middle, the one you would go through if that other row wasn't there, and up through 2. So 1, 2, 3, color, connector, color, connector. And I'm going to do one more row just so I can show you the distinct X's. You can make all kinds of cool stuff with the next stitch. If you've seen my ghost video, that's like a X dome stitch. It's kind of related to the X stitch. I make my jellyfish the same way. This is going to be a very basic how-to kind of beginner skills. If you're just getting into candy making and you want an easy tutorial that looks awesome. X-base cuffs do look awesome. Yep, through the connector. Almost there. thanks for bearing with me. I hope you guys are skipping forward and you figured this out. All right, now we're at our last one on this row. And I want to show you some stuff. So middle, color middle. And it'll be a little more obvious once we hit the next row of bracelet beads, but see this X, and this X, that's 2 rows of X's. I would consider it 4 rows of 3. Cool. Awesome. Now see how it still kind of flans out and it's kind of flared? We're going to tighten it up. Now we'll need some of these bracelet beads. We'll do 2 bracelet beads between each of the connector beads. See how it kind of flops around and is awkward? It'll get tighter as we add more. That's 2 bracelet beads in between each of the connector beads on the top row. I dropped my needle. Nice thing about tying your needle to the string is if you drop it, no beads fall off. Or around the string, I should say. We're a little twisted. And you can see as you start pulling on it how it kind of starts to flatten. Cool, we're almost done. Last 2 up through this connector bead. I would go through at least these. These are the 2 I just added, so I'm just going to push these to the back so you can see. At least these 4. So you're coming out of the next connector bead over. Yay, we have an X space cuff. Go ahead and tie it off. If you don't know how to tie it off, I'll show you. If you do, you skip this. Cool, so kind of like open up a little space, dig your needle under, pull it up. Oh, we're gonna knot. Hold on. You get knots when you use string, it's normal. Let's try that again. So open up a little space next to where your string is coming out. Go under with your needle, pull around until you have a loop, and make sure it's not looped around that other bead like it just tried to do. Undo that if that happens. And put your needle through the loop and pull. You gotta pull pretty quickly. If you pull too slowly, sometimes it'll knot up ahead of where you want it to, and then you'll have a little loop on your cuff, which is not the end of the world. But for me, that would mean I would redo my project if I were gonna sell it. But if I were just gonna keep it and wear it, then that would be okay. So you're just gonna do that again. I would do at least 3 times. See how this is kind of getting confused? Sometimes I stick my finger in there so I know where the loop is. And then go into that loop. Ta-da! Get yourself an X base cuff. Look at that. It's so pretty. Nice job, folks. Check me out on Etsy and Instagram at Sour Candy Castle. Thank you.